The courthouse hopping today over the Trump administration's attempt to deport the Columbia University graduate student Mahmoud Khalil. He's now under arrest, and he's being held by the federal ICE agents, not in New York City, but in Louisiana. Trump's border czar, meanwhile, now calling the pro-Palestinian activist a national security threat. But family and supporters of Khalil say that's simply not the case. His pregnant wife sitting in the front row of the courthouse today during a hearing in Lower Manhattan, while her husband sits in a detention center more than 1,000 miles away. Eyewitness News reporter Lauren Glassberg with the story tonight. She's live at the courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Lauren.
Yeah, Bill, today's hearing was really to determine whether and where Mahmoud Khalil will be fighting the case to deport him, whether it's here in New York or elsewhere. And while, as you say, he wasn't in court and his wife was, she issued a statement in which she accused the government of essentially kidnapping her husband. He has not been charged with a crime, but the Trump administration wants to deport him. Another day, another protest calling for the release of Mahmoud Khalil. The Columbia grad and Palestinian activist remains in federal custody in Louisiana, while a hearing about his detention was held at U.S. District Court this morning in Lower Manhattan. His attorneys told the judge they haven't been able to speak privately with their clients since his arrest on Saturday.
It simply cannot be the case that you can be disappeared at night off the streets of New York City simply because the current U.S. government, the current administration at the White House dislikes what you have to say.
Khalil has led many of the pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel protests at Columbia University. The Trump administration says he participated in activity that aligns with Hamas, a terrorist organization, and should be deported.
I think being a supporter of Hamas and coming into our universities and turning them upside down.
The Secretary of State can revoke a visa or green card if a person's activity poses a serious risk. That is according to an obscure provision. But Khalil's supporters say that shouldn't be applied here.
It is not intended to be used to silence pro-Palestinian speech or any other speech that the government happens to dislike. And for that reason, we believe that this case is not going to set the precedent that the government wants it to set.
Mr. Khalil's detention has nothing to do with security. It is only about repression.
But the border czar, Tom Homan, says free speech has its limits.
When you go to a college campus, you incite protesting and locking down and taking over buildings and damaging property and handing out leaflets for Hamas. You might be able to get away with that stuff in the last administration, but you won't under this administration.
And the government has warned it will be arresting other students that participated in protests in the same way they say that Khalil operated on Columbia's campus. Meanwhile, the judge really didn't issue any rulings today, but he did say that Khalil will be able to talk with his attorneys today and tomorrow. Live in Lower Manhattan, Lauren Glassberg, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.